Hello! Welcome to my second reading vlog. I am Jess and I am checking out books, hence Jess Checks Out. So, I decided to read some books and I forgot to do an opening at first because I was only going to do one book, but it turns out I did two. So, the first book is The Au Pair. And I will get into that book. Be fair warned that this vlog is all kinds of spoilers. It's everywhere. I get into like some detail on that particular book. It's interesting as a book. I'm not necessarily sure how to respond to it until you read or watch the review. I'll go to the end of the vlog and give you that wrap up. But I also read Little Darlings by Melanie Golding, which, okay, this is a traditional thriller with baby stuff going on, twins. Hence the whatever I've named it with thrilling. Then you have second book, which is a supernatural folklore changeling type psychological drama with a lot of deep stuff within it. I'm going to say if you have got issues with postpartum psychosis or postpartum issues or pregnancy issues, please avoid that particular review. I'm not going to go too deeply into it in the wrap up in order to kind of contain it into one space so you guys don't get too much out of it. Now, you can go on with the show in a moment, and you will have, of course, more Penny, who is sitting over here in her corner, watching me, very unhappy because I am not, in fact, in the bed because I should be in the bed all the time as pregnant mommy. And we'll see how this goes. So, I have been talking about reading The Au Pair for a while. I own it. It's a chunky book. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it. 47% of the way through, and nothing has happened for the most part, except for some weird hookups with people. And I don't really think I care about it because one of the characters seems to be like, she didn't take her A-levels, I think. She's still pretty young as a teen, and she's hooking up with like these dads and these older guys, and it's just kind of strange. And there's this whole story about how like twins in the summer-born house can't survive, and mythology and this little where this house is, and she's the au pair to this boy, and his twin died falling down the hill or whatever. I don't know. I can actually guess pretty much what's going to happen in this book based on the clues that have already been given, but I honestly don't care. The only reason I'm reading it, continuing to read it, not DNFing it, is the fact that I own the book. I paid money for this. Sorry if you hear anything in the background. I'm actually recording this outside around 8:30, and dogs are loud. So, I have discovered that the au pair has slept with the father, has a crush on the father's friend. The father's spouse is also sleeping with the friend, I believe. And just really weird. And the grandmother is like anti-Laura, because this is a dual timeline. So you have Laura in the past, who is the au pair, and then you have Seraphine, who is in the now, and, well, kind of now. It's like 25 years. The first one was in 91, and then this one is 25 years later. I don't care. This one reminds me of, if you've read The Glass House by Eve Chase, it's got a lot of the same feelings because, like, the mother killed herself when the au pair was there, and like you can't talk to them, you can't find anything out about them, and the Seraphine looks different, so she knows something's wrong, but no one's talking about it. The father, I think, committed suicide as well. It's a lot. It's not worth the reading, but again, I own it, so I will read it. But this is gonna be a very low star rating, I can already tell, because I'm already putting it at like a 2. So maybe it'll punk up to a 3, but I don't know yet. I'm pretty sure those loud noises are people getting booted out of the apartment complexes. So I'm going to try to be quiet about it. In the meantime, after this clip, you will see the very beautiful strawberries on our balcony that my husband planted last year, and they have come back this year. And we just had the first one today, and they were okay. Time to go back to reading, I guess. But I'm 47% done. I'd like to have this done tomorrow so I can add another book to this vlog. I don't know which book that will be because I have another 2 books set aside for another vlog later this month. Plus, I have the Queer Romance Readathon from Beautifully Bookish Bethany that I'm going to be doing as well. So we'll see how this goes. All right. Okay, so I finished The Au Pair. Let me tell you, it's a 1 star. Spoilers beware. So, the wife was having an affair with a family friend. She got pregnant. The au pair had a one-night stand with the father. She got pregnant. Okay, this is a complicated part. So, they both gave birth at the same time. The au pair brother was like 20, so this is max. Like, she was talking about her A level, so she couldn't have been very old, and this just. Okay. The family friend was going to take his daughter and work out an agreement with the other one, with the couple. The night the kids were born, he came and took a girl. The mother had the other girl and was being crazy, I don't know, and she was going to the cliffs, and apparently either she was murdered or jumped, no one really knows. And the husband took the boy twin and went somewhere else. And then they played Jumbledy Jumble, like that card game. And in the end, oh god, this is complicated. So in the end, Serafina was Serafina. She was the wife's affair child. And then Danny was supposed to be her twin, but Danny was actually the twin of Kiara. Kiara was taken by the family friend Alex because he thought he was stealing his daughter. You figure that one out. Kiara was a twin that was separated from her twin. Serafina was a singleton, thought she was a twin. Yeah, complicated itself. In the end, I will say that I gave it 1 star because there was no resolution really. The story kept getting more and more dramatic, like ridiculously so. The plotlines never really got any better. Laura was never acknowledged as being a freaking teenager and basically taken advantage of by the father. She had apparently at some point she missed her A levels because her, I guess, supposed to be the stepfather, made her get an abortion and then made her be an au pair to know what it was like to have a child. It got more and more complicated. And this is only between like 1991 and like 2016, 17. So it was really weird. I don't recommend it. Highly not. And in fact, I hate this book so much. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I'm either going to donate it or I'm going to sell it, but it's gone. But I'm going to pick another book to put on this vlog because this is basically just going to be a rant, and I don't really want to just do a rant. So I'm picking up Little Darlings by Melanie Golding, and it is a sci-fi thriller, and I picked it because it's twins. So I made a theme. The twins vlogging thriller? I don't know. I'm also going to be talking about that one a little bit different because it's a supernatural thriller, basically about changelings, I think, from what I gather from the overall writing, and I will check back in with you in that in not too long. I'm going to go take a nap now because I have a doctor's appointment and insomnia and pregnant. But here's an update. So, I told you I finished The Au Pair. And now I've been reading Little Darlings by Melanie Golding, and oh my god, this book is amazing. I don't even like thrillers. But this great suspense, like, supernatural thriller about a woman who's dealing with someone trying to change her kids, you know, like in the Fae Changeling series, and no one believes her. So it's got this great mix of like genres that I was not expecting to be so well established. And also, before I go into that, if you look around, I'm outside again. It's gorgeous this week in Germany, and I want to get advantage of that and like kind of like my balcony. So in it, you have Lauren, who mom, and she's having a lot of issues with post-pregnancy, many realizations about her husband, who is an ass, straight out ass. Like, I can just, if you've ever seen Much Ado About Nothing, I'm having very dog-berry moments at the moment. Um, Played by Michael Keaton, of course. And so, having that moment. But Lorna's having the same, she knows someone's trying to kill her or kidnap her children. She can feel it, but she can't say anything about it. She can't figure anything out. And so I find it very interesting that all this is going on. And then you get the fact there's a police officer involved in this, Joanna Joe. And Joe is like, okay, something's wrong here. Like, something feels wrong, but of course her boss doesn't believe her. She's just a detective, so forth, so forth. And this is set in England, so I don't always know the exact terms. But anyway, so she's in charge of that. And more and more creepy things are happening to the mom, who has twins. Again, the reason I picked this book was because as twins, I'm making a twin blog. This is also super creepy to read when you're pregnant as well. But it has this element of, if you listen to the audiobook, highly recommend. There's a lot of creepy ambiance. So if you really like that creep factor, it's great. I'm about 25 to 28% in, so I'm listening to it when people have been playing badminton outside. And I like the atmosphere. You know, she had the twins. She also had that hemorrhaging afterwards. Lauren has been having a lot of issues, and her husband is just like not stepping up to the bat as always. Not always, but often in psychological thrillers. Also, you see this a lot in pregnancy boards as well. I don't know if you actually listen to them or you watch them, but it's a whole thing. But overall, I really am enjoying it. I can't wait to read more what's going to happen. I had to slow it down a little bit just because it's easier on the British accent. It's a little bit more localized than it would be otherwise. And also, at some point, you will see I have some b-roll of Penny. Penny doesn't come out here very often, but she came out. That was very actually helpful for me because I was getting to the creepy part where the Fae woman, which wanted to change the babies, had showed back up, and so there's a lot of really interesting elements. I kind of can maybe guess where some of this is going, but I can't always guess how it's going to get there. And I'm really excited to see what's going on. So far, the reader. I was not expecting it after reading The Au Pair. Probably should have read more of the summary more than like the first the twins. I was like, oh, okay. But yeah. And I did not update yesterday because Friday was a day of nothing but doctor's appointments and coming home and exhaustion because I've hit 26 weeks of pregnancy and I'm going to tell you I'm exhausted right now. I'm just sleeping all the time. So in future reference, most of the vlogs will probably talk about my pregnancy a little bit more because it's just a huge part of what I'm going through at the moment. But you see my cute suit here. So I'm in my comfortable shirt. I'm in my inside clothes, my balcony clothes. You can hear the train, and we will get back in a little bit later. I'm hoping to finish the book today, but I don't know. My husband has got his D&D game, so we'll see. So it's great. Oh my god, I was so creeped out. I read it this morning because I could not go back to sleep pregnancy. So I was like, okay. I was so, oh my god, I was thinking like, fantastic. I really recommend this for like horror It's got that kind of like weird genre bending that comes from things like, ring shout, um, something to that benefit. I've only read ring shout because I don't read a lot of horror, but this one was maybe at least the Hunger, maybe a good one as well. If you like Stephen King, like even Stephen King, you'll really enjoy this one. I was just floored by the revelations. I thought Patrick was a dick the whole time, so good job there for Golding. I really felt for Lauren because she was trying her best to be heard and could not be heard no matter how hard she tried. It was ridiculous that her husband would not hear her. I also really kind of interesting with Harper, who was the Joanne who I talked about earlier, because she's a little bit of a mixed bag. She's very cynical, and I think that works for this. I felt like maybe the her subplot to that was a little bit unnecessary. I felt like it was missing something. I felt like it was a little bit off. And if you see the trees swaying, sorry. I'm trying to end this whole vlog outside for this thing, and it's about 20 minutes, so I'm trying to hurry up and get this done. But I just feel like overall the story was fantastic. The amount of time and effort that was put into this book and the use of the fairy tale stuff. Like the beginning of the chapters with Lauren, especially talking about our kids, you would actually hear the different like changeling and twins and the things that we learn and stuff like that. And I was just so fascinated with that. I think overall, I really love this one, and I think that I am definitely going to give it a high number. Like, I gave it 5 stars, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. I was just so creeped out in the best way, and again, I don't read that kind of stuff anymore, but I just felt like it was so good. And it's interesting, you have a 1 star and a 5 star. So it's kind of interesting how that book ended. And I just, oh my God, there was so much to the story. It was so rich and complex and layered. And, it talked about like the history of what happens when we create man-made lakes for whatever we need, right? What happens to people below? And you may not be aware, but I'm from Georgia. I'm from Atlanta. And that's the whole point of Lake Lanier. There's actually a special coming out, I think, about it. But basically, in Lake Lanier, it's literally a town that has just been flooded. So the history is all there in the bottom, and you can find stuff. And if you've read some of the climate change stories that were put out by Amazon a couple of years ago, it's that same thing. If you go down there and you can see things, but it's like you're in someone's burial ground too. There's great layering of how complicated it can be. And I love it when things do stuff like that, right? So I was all for it. I also like how it really went into the like postpartum psychosis depression. And I think that it did it in a way that wasn't, it was chilling, but I think it was in a way that wasn't as mm, baity as it could have been. And I love that about it. So if you are pregnant, it's depending on your level, it can be a bit much. There were times when I just had to stop reading it for a little while and just come back to it. I take like a 10, 15 minute break and then I'd go back and it would be fine. I don't know how you feel about it, but again, I would recommend the audiobook over the physical book because I think the audiobook gives more. I got mine through the library through Readin, so you may be able to find it that way. But if you want to read a super scary book that really delves into the psyche of what don't we know, what do we know, and there was a case of a journalist in here who was a former, I think, cop, and it really displays a little bit what's going on in the how do you get a tip, how do you not, stuff like that. And I think he did a really good job of highlighting that, how unethical things can be, and also I didn't necessarily know if I believed some of the stuff that the journalist was saying. I felt like she was a little bit too involved at times, but I think that's accurate for someone that's from America and sees it pretty frequently. I would really like to give this one the best recommendation. It's like the first 5 star of the month. I mean, I've only had one of them. So next, I'm going to be reading a couple books, and I'll come back with another blog on thrillers. But this one is called, I think, I'm going to call it Thrilling Twinning or Twinning Thrills or something like that. But I'm doing that because I literally picked it, as I said in the last update, or one of the last updates. I'm picking it for that purpose. So I think if you are in the mood for something fantastic, if you want something that's got that spooky thrill, if you've got something that has that automated voice that really makes you jump, It's like I kept waiting for like a transformer to transform. It felt like the like creature was somewhere between like something in I don't know The Ring and like Transformers the comic. We don't talk about the book. We don't talk about the movies in this house, but like it has that same feel to it. So highly recommend across the board. Not expecting to love it as much as I did because I'm not a horror person, but the balance was. I will have a wrap up in a few minutes inside because rain. I don't want it to rain on me. And I'll see you guys soon. So that's my wrap up. I do want to mention one thing I actually forgot to talk about in the Little Darlings. I forgot to mention that there actually is a lot of situations inside a mental institution, and I'm sorry I forgot to put that in the beginning and in the middle, but I'm putting this now so in the end, if you skipped it, you know it's postpartum, there's mental issues, there's all kinds of stuff. I'm putting this in here for sure so you guys have some solid knowledge. But overall, 1 star for the au pair. It was too long, uninteresting, so convoluted. It just kept getting more and more melodramatic. If this was a TV show, it would be perfect. But as a book, not so good. I was not happy with it. I can see why it has so many negative reviews, and this book will either be sold or donated. It's just gone. I'm collecting my little groups to do this with. And then Little Darlings, which I have on my Libby app, so I don't have a physical copy, was blown away by the atmosphere. The audiobook was fantastic. Like such good quality, almost like a cast episode of something. There wasn't that many people playing the parts, but the value put into it was just amazing. So, highly recommend that one. Again, it has postpartum psychosis and mental illness, among a few other issues as well. So maybe if that it doesn't really work for you, avoid it. But if you like the horror elements to in the psychological thriller aspect plus the folklore, because it actually does go pretty deeply into the changeling and twins, and it's every chapter. Well, not every chapter, but most chapters have got like a thing about something going back in the folklore or the changelings, which I find fascinating because I just didn't know some of these things. Some of them I knew, but most of them I did not, especially when it came to twins. That was a 5 star read. Like, I was so into this book. As you can see, I was outside reading it. This is inside because it's so fun reading outside. But I definitely recommend it. It's going to be one of my favorites, probably for the first half of the year. It's going to be probably up there with Electra and probably Nettle and Bone, and each of them deal with some kind of mythological or folklorish elements. I can definitely see that. I'm learning that that's very much up my speed. So I hope that if you enjoy that kind of stuff, you're gonna read it. Again, avoid, avoid, avoid at all costs. Woo! My hands don't know where they're going. Please avoid this at all costs. I avoid. But on a high note, please listen to The Little Darlings. I had never heard of it. I found it just purely by accident. I was like, oh, look, it's about twins. Let's listen to it. Maybe the pregnant woman shouldn't be doing that, but it anyway, and it was really good, and it was unexpectedly so. That's it for this wrap up. Please enjoy all the B-roll that I put throughout, as well as my lovely, lovely puppy, and I will see you next time. Oh, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell. If you have any suggestions for a book that is like Little Darlings, please let me know. I'm going to try to access it through Scribd or Libby. Those are my only options right now. Or I can read the book, but I can't physically read at the moment. My brain is not processing this idea. So yeah, okay. All right. Bye, guys.